And we're live. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Ryan, who has previously been at the WTC. You've seen him before on this channel. Ryan is also the winner of Warzone Atlanta a few years back and an experienced American player. So I thought it might be nice to bring someone from the US to talk about what we're seeing because 3 American teams are attending this year. So, Ryan, you're not going this year.
Nope, couldn't figure it out schedule wise. Some new
Yeah.
stuff going on at work, and
Yeah.
uh, just couldn't make it work this year. But hopefully 2025.
In some respects, this going to international tournaments is a little bit the disposable income championships, right? I mean, who can get the time off? Who has the money? And then you figure out who is the best suited potentially.
I I will add the caveat though that my wife did go with me last year to
Yep.
and the one in southern Spain, and some of the other wives went as well, and they had a wonderful time. I joked that they had more fun than we did.
Potentially they did because they were being shown around town by one of the Spanish wives, weren't they?
Yes, they
Yeah.
they were out drinking sangrias while we were
Oh,
pushing the toy
nice.
soldiers around.
That also sounds very enjoyable. Right.
So we
So
made a
today,
made a nice vacation out of it.
yeah, yeah, which is, I guess, the way to go because you're already going from the States to Europe. You're spending a lot of points of like work points and Wi-Fi points, and you're spending a lot of money as well and time. So, I mean, might as well make a vacation out of it.
Yep, that was the way to do it.
Yeah. Right. Today, Ryan and me, we are going to talk about 2 teams. We're going to talk first about a Spanish team and then about an American team. So I will go and get the teams. Just give me a sec here. Oh, I had it somewhere. Where did I put them? Um, IGE. I had the homepage up. Just a sec. Here we go. Right. Here we go. Okay. I will now share my screen.
And while he's pulling that up, I'll note that I'm seeing these fresh. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet, so I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing this on the fly.
That is one of the caveats. So it's all fresh. The second caveat will be, of course, that we're just 2 guys on the internet. We possibly don't even know what we're talking about when if we don't like
No,
your list.
Bo is the final word. No.
No. Right. We're going to talk about Spain first. Spain 3 here. So can
Okay.
you see these okay, Ryan?
Yep, sure can. And are they doing? I assume there's the way they've done it in the past, where they do their tournaments, and there's team one is the higher placed ones.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I know the U.S. teams are not. There's no really regulatory process for how we do ours.
Yeah. Um, because the Spanish are closer together, I think they have more of and they have regular tournaments, and that most people in Spain can actually get to those tournaments. I think it's way easier to have that community actually pick the best players, since it's also being held in Spain. That makes it even more easy, right? Because it is not necessarily a matter of income for them to go to Granada. It's at least they can save on the flights. So here we go. The first one is an American list. Now you're an experienced American player, so this should be your ball game. Second lieutenant, inexperienced with
Yep.
SMG.
Yep.
Northwestern African Trileurs, 7-man squad, Mountain Warriors. Do you know these guys?
I don't. They're new to me.
Yeah, me as well. I
I
don't
I
actually know
don't
them.
know that. I don't know how much paying extra points for Mountain Warriors on a,
Mm,
especially knowing the terrain for uh, WTC. I'm not sure that's a useful
mm. And
upgrade.
and he is paying some extra points for him because 82 points. Yeah, you got 1 BAR in the list, but it's just a 7-man unit of regulars here. So you are paying extra points for those Mountain Warriors.
I'm not. And then just quick note too on the second lieutenant. Uh,
Yeah.
Being an American, I always have the desire to try to maybe bring a rifle on those to throw out an extra pin, even at inexperience with no moving and shooting penalty.
Yeah.
Something to look at. He's got the SMG on there, which I get the tough fighter, and I've had some interesting things happen with the second lieutenant with SMG, but just something to consider when you're looking at those American lists.
Yeah. Yeah. I always just brainlessly take the SMG, but I do agree that a rifle for Americans might actually be more beneficial. And I know that that Danny, the Dutch top player, he often brings rifles on his American lieutenants. Then we have two Marine squads, the US Marine squads here. They're really good, I think. An SMG on the NCO. I don't really understand that. Another SMG, and then three BARs. Rifles on the rest of the guys here. So a few rifles, a few BARs, and two SMGs. I think I would leave the SMGs at home for this.
Yeah, I
But
would.
there's
If I were taking Marine squads, I would run those at the minimum strength that you're required to take, and then take the maximum BARs just for that
yeah,
shooting platform.
yeah. 8-man units. This might be an idea to that he's going to throw them into dodges because they're the perfect size for that.
Yeah,
Um, then another here unit, which is a veteran engineer unit with flamethrower, an SMG, two SMGs, veterans. These are tough. Can stand up to a lot of punishment as well. And a 7-man ranger unit. I also like
but
this.
that's we go back to those Marine squads. If you strip those down to the minimum strength, if
Hmm.
he's wanting to go with that tougher veteran engineer squad, that would be a place where you could put those up to the 8 men and maybe throw some BARs in there
Yeah,
as well if they're going to
just
be,
buffing out the unit so it's more survivable once you've delivered your
especially if you're
flamethrower.
investing those points.
Yeah. A heavy mortar team, inexperienced.
I
Sniper
like that.
team, a bazooka team.
I like all of those.
Yeah. Is this the way you would also bring him?
Yeah, assuming he has Jeeps for him down there. I would not pay for the veteran on either of those.
No.
Um, I've normally been a big advocate of the bazooka, but I think in the last 9 games I've played, I've fired my bazooka almost every single turn, and I have not killed a single thing in
Wow.
9 games with a bazooka.
Wow, that is
With
inefficient.
uh, and I, and I mean, I had one game where at 5 turns it was shooting point blank into the side of a Stuart and didn't manage to kill it.
Well, Ryan, it is a
So,
dice game.
so for all of you out there that are taking bazookas right now, I'm working out the other side of the bell curve. So I hope somebody out there is having wonderful luck with them right now.
Somebody is really like, wow, this bazooka cannot miss. I'm killing
Hitting
every
on
single thing.
hitting
Yeah.
on sevens, doing
Wow.
it, doing the stuff.
Yeah.
So you're
Then
welcome out there.
the 114 millimeter rocket launcher. We're
Yep,
seeing a lot of these in American lists,
yep,
and a Recce Jeep, and the darker version Stuart with the extra LMGs.
yep. Can't go wrong there.
Can't go wrong with that. We have a Dodge truck, 8-man capacity with a pintle-mounted MG. It's regular and a regular Jeep, so I'm guessing that the bazooka might even want to go in outflank because it's regular, or from reserves. It's pretty easy to get that in because it's American. And a mule team for that very, very cheap order dice.
Yeah. I've
And
seen
this
only the one
is
Jeep, and looking back at the, I'm wondering if he's going to put the bazooka or the flamethrower in the Dodge with the engineer squad because he's got the extra 2 men, and then the
you might,
other two
yeah,
man Jeep will go in the Jeep, and that gives him some flexibility on what he wants to do with those.
yeah.
Um,
It's a 15 order dice list here, 1,000 points
that's the
on the
right number.
dot. Yeah.
Um, the there's a unit that if I were taking Marines, I would want to see worked into the list. It's a cheap. It's the Marine dog
The
handler.
war dog, yeah.
I actually have him right here on my desk. I was working on painting him as we speak. He's right. This
Yep.
guy.
Yeah.
He's a cheap. He's a cheap points. He's a tough fighter. He reveals all those hidden units
Mm,
really well. I know last year the WTC I was playing one of the German players, and most of his entire list was hidden for most of the game,
yeah.
which made it very difficult. Having one of those handy would have been a good. I
Mm,
if you're taking Marines, I feel like that's an auto include in the list. It's too
I've
cheap and too good of an order dice not to take.
I've mostly been against using the War Dog back in the day when one of my friends started using it, but I have really come around to it because it's a cheap order dice. He'll typically survive. He's veteran. He's small team. I mean, most people are not even shooting at him because why bother? There are more threatening targets. So typically, that War Dog has survived all games I've seen him in, um, and
And
always
it
been a little bit useful in some way. Um,
and it really, if somebody is banking on their strategy with those hidden units per the missions,
yeah,
you can, and they deploy, assuming that you're not going to be able to see them. If you can get that in there and use his special ability that time that it does come up, it can really give you a significant advantage.
yeah, yeah. Right. So that was the first list for Spain. Then we have Japan here. A second lieutenant, regular, two-man team with SMGs, I guess. And then two IGA infantry squads of 10 men, regulars, rifles, a single SMG. He had a few points left over, I guess. Um, I like these units of 10 regulars with rifles
Yep,
here. Yeah.
I like that. I think that's a great way to go with Japanese.
Yeah,
I,
because you want to be able to charge, right? You want to be able to get into close combat. But
I think I think the usefulness that you get from them outweighs what you get with the bamboo fighters. I know
yeah,
the bamboo wave is a thing for a while, but I personally playing against Japanese lists, I think
yeah,
they fare better with the IGA.
I think so too. Just being able to shoot as a like an alternative to just rushing at the enemy, I think is a great idea. A five-man engineer squad with rifles, single SMG, and a flamethrower, like that inclusion as
Yep.
well. I'm seeing this in a lot of the Japanese lists here. Includes an engineer unit or a flamethrower unit or something. Medium mortar, inexperienced sniper team, two suicide anti-tankers, single inexperienced dude, a Hygo turret-mounted low-velocity light anti-tank. It's a light tank.
Yep.
90 points. A light truck for the engineers with a pin-mounted
Yep.
MMG. A second platoon, another lieutenant, and then
There's the bamboos.
three bamboos. So there's a combination here of the
Yep.
very cheap bamboos and then something that can actually shoot. I really like this combination actually. I think
Yep.
though you could maybe cut out one of these and put in like a third unit of regulars with rifles
Yep.
or even
Uh,
militia like
Yeah.
cheap.
I think the two if you're going to run the bamboo spears, I think two of them are sufficient to do the screening work.
Yeah.
And
A
I
mountain
might be
gun.
biased too, running veteran tough fighters often that they.
Yeah, me as well. I also play so much veteran, so I dislike having these like hordes and hordes and hordes of
Yeah.
bamboos. Yeah,
Just seeing an opponent, I haven't personally used them, but they seem to get in the way more than they.
yeah, they do. A mountain gun, which is a howitzer, a light howitzer, and another high go, and that is it. 1,000 points, 16 order dice.
I like the double tanks.
Yeah,
I like the regulars in there.
mm, me as well. For some reason, my
Engineers.
OCD really hates it when you have a light truck that's not full. So having a five-man engineer unit in an eight-man transport, I hate it. I hate it.
Hey, you put your you can put a sniper. You put your two anti tanks and your lieutenant in there.
You
There
could,
you go.
yeah, yeah. Then it's full. Yeah, maybe. Do you think this list will win a lot of games at the WTC, or is it like too standard Japanese?
You know, there's nothing wrong with being standard. You know, standard
Mm,
work is kind of the boilerplate. I think it can. I like I like this list a lot better than the American list that we just saw.
mm. Yeah, me as well. There's a lot of good in this list, and I like the inclusion, as you said, of two tanks because Japanese do struggle a little bit with range, and that gives them some range. Yeah,
I'm trying to recall is the spigot mortar available in the generic reinforced?
it is, and he hasn't brought one, which I
I
think
would.
may have been a little bit of a boo boo in some respects,
I'm
because
I'm my favor of the sniper is waning as well, so I wonder if that was something. If you could have dropped that and tried to figure out how to
You
get your
could.
spigot mortar in there.
Yeah.
I think that would. It's such a good weapon.
Yeah, it really is. If you hit with that, something is going to go away just due to pins at some point.
Yep.
Um,
Veterans. I've
yeah,
lost veterans in one hit. Somebody
yeah.
rolled a good 6 on the first time I shot with them. Whole
Ouch.
squad of vets out.
Ouch. Oh, sorry, that was not intentional. Right, we'll open this again. Here we go. Right. So that was the Japanese list. I like that list as well. It's a really good list. Then we have a German one. So
Good. I
we
like
have, yeah, second
the Spaniards
lieutenant.
like their Germans,
Yeah, they do, and they're
and they're
good at
good with
playing
them.
them. Yeah,
They do very well with them.
yeah, much better than I would. Um, Second lieutenant, regular with an assault rifle. Brandenburgers, these are almost an auto include in my view. Single
Yep.
Panzerfaust on them, 5 guys. Waffen SS, Panzer Pioneers from the Fortress Budapest. So they've got double Panzerfaust, flamethrower, and double SMGs. So also a very dangerous unit, but a little bit of a glass cannon. They're just regulars, 5 regulars here.
Right.
Air Grenadiers, they've got a single Panzerfaust, double SMGs. So large units of regulars here. Spartruppen, they're just cheap riflemen. A heavy mortar team, inexperienced. Gewehr 43, that's the double tap sniper. Like
Yeah,
those.
which that's a great unit to include.
Really, really great. A Nebelwerfer, um,
Naturally.
naturally. The 250/9, also almost an auto include in my view by now with the light autocannon and coaxial MG. A Kugelblitz, so here he's spending the points, right? Because that is expensive. But it is the twin heavy autocannons in the turret, which is really dangerous. A truck for the engineers and a mule team just for the extra order dice. 13 order dice.
That's low.
It's a little low, yeah. Especially because one of them is a mule and the other is a truck. It does have a
Yeah.
front-mounted, pintle-mounted MMG, but it's not massively dangerous, is it?
Yeah, he's got a lot of points put into his infantry. I mean, he's not taking the machine guns, so that's good.
No.
But it's still, you got all those SMGs in there.
Yeah.
Adds up.
It does. It
Brandenburgers
does.
are just expensive for a
Yeah.
small unit, as
Yeah.
great as they are.
Yeah.
And 200 and some points tied up in one piece of armor. I
205
think
points.
this
Yeah.
list, a couple good. If somebody's bazooka finally does work for them, this poor guy.
Oh yeah, he loses the Kugelblitz, and then he's in trouble. I think if you lose the Kugelblitz here, or if the Nebelwerfer doesn't do work, I think you could end up being in trouble, because
Yeah, I
there's
think you
not
got
a massive amount of infantry here.
and the infantry is as many as he has there. I'm not overly concerned. I feel like there's some things if you can deal with the heavier pieces while those guys are
Mm,
moving,
mm,
it's going to give you an opportunity to
it is.
hit this
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
Um,
I do like the
as far as
support.
German lists go, I like it.
Yeah, I like the support as well. I mean, he picks all the right units. I'm just a little concerned that he's spent too many points in the Kugelblitz here.
Remind me what the armor is on the Kugelblitz.
It's 9+, so it's a
Yeah,
medium tank. It's a Death Star in many respects. I
yeah,
mean, you can push it.
it's hardy. So if
Yeah.
you can keep that protected
Mm.
in some, I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
Yeah,
13
I've
feels
had
low.
Full Gurkha armies being murdered by Kugelblitzes. So yeah,
Yeah,
that it can happen. Just concerned one
I
Kugelblitz.
would
Yeah.
I would still put that German list maybe above the American list,
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
but that might
I
just
think
be
I would my initial gut feeling is that the Kugelblitz list here is their dud list because of course reminding the viewers here one of these lists is a fake. They're only
right.
bringing 4 lists and there are 5 lists in what we're seeing here. So
And this next list has Gurkhas in it, so it's
oh
probably
yeah,
going.
That's probably going, yeah. Second lieutenant, up and at him on the national special rules. 7-man Gurkhas. We're seeing a lot of these 7-man Gurkhas. NCO here has an SMG. Doesn't need it, but extra
Right.
points. Home Guard, 10-man, inexperienced section. 5 of them unarmed, very cheap for 10 men. 55 points for 10 men.
Yeah.
The free forward artillery observer, medium mortar team, inexperienced peer team. Okay, I think I would rather take a flamethrower, but
I probably would take the flamethrower.
yeah, the Piat is not massively impressive.
No, especially with the limited range, it's
Yeah,
pretty easy to navigate around.
yeah. A land mattress. This is of course great for making the enemy spread a little bit. The PPA flamethrower jeep. I'm seeing a lot of these as well. This one veteran. So it's got a forward-facing infantry flamethrower, and I think it's got recce as well. So it's just a jeep that can go up and deliver that flamethrower
Do you see a benefit
cheaper.
to having? Do you see a benefit of taking veteran on that?
No, I don't really. Except maybe if you take a few pins and you still want it to move, maybe. Um, and and it's just a cheap way for me. It's a cheap way of getting that Jeep flamethrower combo in a single order
Right.
dice.
Right.
But your range is a little bit more limited, and you only get the one order dice. So is it worth it? I'm not sure. I don't know. A Dhaka Stewart, and then the 15 CVT 8-man transport for, I guess, one of the Gurkha units. I think
I'm
I would
guessing
put,
that's
yeah, one of the Gurkhas inside that with a lieutenant, maybe. Second platoon would be another lieutenant, again, inexperienced SMG, Royal Canadians, Home Guard, Auxiliary Military Pioneer Corps, unarmed. These are dirt cheap and they're just bodies. Um, I've seen these played at World Open War as well, successfully, I might add. I wouldn't use
yeah.
them myself, but yeah.
I definitely see the benefit to having them.
They can go down. They're pretty survivable if they just stay in
My
the back lines. Yeah.
my concern is he has them and then two of the home guard sections, which
Yeah.
all three of those squads are
Not
you
very
sit back and
dangerous.
hold objectives,
Yeah.
and it seems like three might be excessive
Yeah.
for that job.
Yeah. Then he's got a 25 pounder
Okay.
and an M22 Locust. Now, I didn't know this one. I had to look it up, but it is a light tank. It's got recce. It's got a light anti-tank gun, a coaxial MMG, and a forward-facing MMG. So it's actually pretty good for 125 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a 7+ if I remember correctly. It's got 17 order dice, 1,000 points. Good order dice count here.
Yeah.
What do we think?
I I think it's probably going. I think it's probably not the. It's not as fine tuned of a British list as could be made.
Mm,
Um, I think, yeah, Piat team I'm not super impressed with. I think flamethrower might be better
yeah.
use of points. I think uh, he's got three backline holding units, plus you have your medium
Mm,
mortar team that can sit on things. You have your artillery observer that can sit on stuff. You have your lieutenant.
yeah.
I don't know how are they doing minimum strength squads holding objectives for WTC this year, or is it?
You can hold it with anything. So,
Yeah,
I mean, 5 guys, 3 guys, 2 guys. Perfect.
yep. I
Yeah.
think, and this is as a one of the most experienced British players out there. What's taking the land mattress and a British list when you're pushing like Gurkhas up?
Mm,
I That would make me
that makes
nervous.
perfect sense for me.
But to keep their heads down and out
Yeah,
of the
just to
way,
keep them to keep the enemy going down, or to at least spread them out a bit, because typically with Gurkhas, I would want to focus on one point of the battlefield.
right,
So spreading out the enemy, perfect sense. I wouldn't want to shoot as I advanced, but
right,
I just wanted to be there to spread out the enemy. The one thing I am concerned about here is he is taking up and Adam as his national special rule, but he only has 2 rather small Gurkha units. I mean, is that even worth it? I mean,
yeah. I think if you're taking, I feel like way he's making his list, he would have been better off taking Manpower of the Empire and
Oh yeah,
using that as his home
yeah,
guards instead of the home guard section.
yeah. That
And
would have been way better.
then he
Um,
could probably drop both home guards and the other one and maybe pick up another Gurkha or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Because I feel like 17 order dice is very high. I'm not sure what he wants to be that high for. Uh, 15, 16 would have been perfectly adequate.
But
So he could easily go down on some of this and get some more hard troops or something that's really killy instead of these home guard sections and auxiliary pioneers or whatever. Yeah, auxiliary military pioneer corps. Yeah, I
and
think we're pretty much in agreement there.
there's a it's an age-old debate up and Atom or Manpower, and
Mm,
I, being jealous of your free units, always think Manpower is best. But if you're going to take up an Atom, you
mm,
really gotta
yeah,
really push the number of units that you're going to be using that on.
yeah. But I think actually they did make a rule that that you couldn't run Manpower of the Empire and get the other free unit. There was something there, if I remember correctly. So
Uh,
most of us have actually opted away from Manpower of the Empire. I still think that Up and Adam is just wrong with just 2 sections of Gurkhas. It's just your national special rule only benefits 2 of your units.
yeah,
It seems like a waste.
yeah. What do
Yeah,
you think of the? I'm the Stewart's so good. Not taking that as your second one is an interesting choice to me. Even as
as
good as
well.
that,
Yeah, yeah,
it's just such for only 5 points more. I think you get a lot of
you do.
the versatility on the Stewart.
Yeah, yeah. I also think that's a mistake. Um, you should have found the 5 points somewhere. Um,
I think the veterancy on your uh, flamethrower Jeep is where you could have
yeah,
found that.
that's one of the that's one of the points, right? And then we have a Soviet list because, of course, right? It has to happen.
Yep.
Um, Inexperienced junior lieutenant, SMG, veteran squads. These are like tough fighters, double Panzerfaust rifles. Yeah, they're scary. Ideally, I think they should be 7 men and not 6. Do you
Yeah,
agree
it's
on
a
that?
little. Yeah, I would. I like running. I like running the bigger veteran tough fighter squads.
Yeah.
Um, well, we'll see. You know, when you're allowed to take those 2 platoons, which I'm assuming this one has,
Mm,
you gotta make points and sacrifices somewhere. So we'll
true. True.
see what else is
Medium mortar.
in here.
Sorry, the free rifle squad, of course. The
Yep.
inexperienced medium mortar, a sniper team, assist 3. That's just very very good gun. I really like
Yep.
it. A jeep with the pintle mounted MMG. A SU-76, so that has the forward-facing light howitzer, which can fire as a medium anti-tank gun. Dangerous both to infantry and to stewards. I like this one.
Yep.
I really like the inclusion of that. Second platoon is a junior lieutenant, inexperienced.
What was the sorry?
Strathclyde,
What was the price? What was the point cost on that tank? The
130, so
the
it costs
full
the same as the
130.
steward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially with that medium anti-tank gun, that's a really
yeah,
great buy.
yeah, it is. And as a nice alternative to steward, because you can easily wipe out infantry units with the howitzer shots, but at the same time you're way more threatening to a tank, right?
Yep, I think being able to take, if you're not taking Stewarts, you need to take a tank that's going to be a threat to a Stewart, and that fills that job.
It does. Then we have a Strafbat here, 12 inexperienced dudes with rifles, some of them unarmed. And we have the mounted recon squad with a flamethrower and SMG, 8-man unit. Hmm. Interesting, because mostly I see these run in Bren carriers, so 5-man units, but this is an 8-man. Another medium mortar, inexperienced. Another SIS, another SIS-3 divisional gun. Wow. Another
Yeah,
gas jeep with a pintle mounted MMG, and another SU-76. Wow.
yeah, I don't want to fight against this list. I think this is the
No,
best one. This is the
it
best one
is.
we've seen out of this
That
batch.
is nasty. That's a nasty list.
No, that's
16 order dice. Wow.
I'm over here on my Warlord shopping cart right now, adding things.
I think there's only like one thing I would change. Everything else, I'm just wow. The amount of howitzers and HE shots you've got on this list is amazing.
This is an efficient list.
Really, that is 6 shots because you got 2 mortars, you got 2 CIS guns, and you've got 2 SU-76s. That's 6 HE shots. Wow.
Yeah.
I would
If you can,
ideally want there to be at least 1 truck because
yeah,
the mounted recon group is going on foot.
yeah. And I think if you scroll back up,
Mm.
let me see I want to see the first infantry selections up here.
Yeah, that was for veterans.
Yeah. I I think the sniper team might be a little
Mm.
redundant. I don't
Yeah,
know. That
yeah,
might be
maybe. Yeah,
that might be a place to
that might be a place to
where you
cut.
can to get your truck.
Yeah. Potentially even an extra veteran in one of these units.
Yeah.
I also think you could cut down on the mounted recon. They don't
Yeah.
need to be 8-man, especially not if they're going on foot. But even more so if you get that truck for them.
Right. I It hurts my soul a little bit to see a Russian list that doesn't have the suicide anti-tank dogs. It's
Yeah,
such a
yeah,
cheap order dice, but
it
I
is.
don't know that you're going to need them in this list. But
No, and you have so many vehicles that you
yeah,
want to survive as
you
well.
don't
So
want to.
it's
You
going
don't
to
want
be
to
a
accidentally
hassle.
get one of your own.
Yeah, yeah. Because you
I
have 2 Jeeps and 2 SU-76s.
Another option on this one is if you just cut that uh, reconnaissance squad out altogether and
Mm,
took some of the forward deploying anti-tank squads.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of those. It
yeah,
doesn't get you your flamethrower, but with all the HE shots, I'm not sure that you're going to need. This is one of the few lists where I would say maybe you don't need the flamethrower,
yeah.
but that's
Although I think
it's still
potentially the player thought that, well, I want different stuff. I need a
right.
flamethrower, at least one. But
Right.
I'm not, I think you may be right. I'm not sure it's needed. And especially not on foot.
Yeah, on foot I would find something else. If you're just
Mm,
going to run stuff on foot, I would
mm,
maybe find something else to do. But that's really, and that's maybe maybe he's got a special plan for him, or there's
maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very good list. I like it a lot.
Really
There's
good. Yeah. It's a dangerous list. I wouldn't want to be facing this list.
What are the points on those gas jeeps?
The gas jeeps, they are
36.
36 points, so it's also pretty cheap for something that's got a pin mounted. Hasn't got
Yep.
recce though, but
No recce, yeah.
yeah.
But just again baffles me on why medium machine guns are costed the way they do.
Yeah.
We can
That
move on.
that makes no sense.
Oh,
That really does make no sense. Right. So that was Spain
this
3.
one's going for sure.
This one is definitely going. That is a dangerous list. For me, I think this is I usually use my ranking system, even though I know rankings are
Right.
bad and doesn't make sense. But for me, this would be a 4 or maybe a 4.5. I
There's
dislike that mounted recon on foot, but yeah,
there's very little wobble in this list. It's
very little. Yeah. It's a very strong list. So whoever made this, kudos to you guy, because
this
that is
this is
dangerous.
this is the one that I would hope my team captain would take one for the team and play against it, so I wouldn't have to.
Yeah, yeah. Just throw someone under the bus saying, try to get a draw, try.
Yes,
It would be
and
difficult though,
I
sitting
think you
there
could.
and even going down because the HE would get you at some point.
This is a list where I think playing for a draw might be a wise
Mhm,
choice because you can get if you can get yourself where you need to be and dug in and just
mhm.
that can really mitigate a lot of that long range
Yeah,
capacity.
yeah.
If you can plink off some of those veterans as they're trying to come across the board, um,
But you are going to take a lot of losses from the HE
yeah,
zeroing in on you. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so that was the Spanish. Now we are moving to Americans, and that wasn't it. That was here we go. So I wanted to run an American list by you, just because, well, you might have a lot more insight than I do. So I think we should take USA 3. Go.
Um, I assume USA 1 is John Ross and his guys,
I think so.
and
I think
is
so, but
2 the
I'm
group from
actually
the
not
north?
sure.
Okay, I'd be interested.
I'm not sure who's on what team for this, so
Knowing who's on which team would give me some insight if you have
really
that
would
info
for
anywhere.
me as well. Yeah. Um, but I think for me, looking, I as I always do, I made a whole list of rankings and predictions and
Right.
stuff. And this is actually for me the American team that has the best lists. So even though they're called USA 3, I think they have a pretty decent chance.
Well, seeing that there's a Italian list on there, I'm wondering if this is John.
Potentially, let's see.
Before I even see we'll see it.
Let's see it. So this is the Italian list, and of course he's using the case blue here because that really made
Yes.
Italians worthwhile again.
And this is the Case Blue Italian list is the one I assume there would be one at WTC, and this is the one I'm most interested in seeing because uh, I'm considering picking up some Italians. Well, funny story. This last year at WTC, one of
Yeah,
the English teams. Sorry, a little sidebar here.
yeah.
Won. They all won their Italians, and they were not. Anyway, I made a comment behind it. I was like, well, at least you got some Italians. And they're like, I ended up with I think all of the English team's Italian boxes.
You did?
Yeah, they all turn around. they were they were making some snarky comment about Italians, and I said something about well, at least you got enough to something. And they all turned around. I was like, you want some Italians? I'm like,
Okay.
I think I ended up with all of Team 3 England's Italians from this last WTC.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Right. And suddenly Italians are good. I mean,
Yeah, so
uh,
I think 4 boxes of Italian
I
infantry sitting in
I
my
think you
case.
need to start assembling, Ryan. I think there's something there.
Yeah,
Um,
Let's see how Case Blue does this year. I picked
yeah.
up the books down at Atlanta, so
Right. So this Italian list is bringing a second lieutenant on horse. So that is why he's costing 40 points. I really like this inclusion. I've been running mounted lieutenants with my partisans, and they are brilliant. They'll almost never die because they're almost always safe, except from snipers. Because you can recce. I mean, it's amazingly good. Then 2 black shirt battalions, M battalion, 16-man size regulars with rifles, tough fighter, and because he's using case blue rules, fanatics on top of that.
Tough
So
Fighter Fanatic, 16-man regular. What's not to love?
wow, my Gurkhas would stay well away from these units because
I It
they'll
warms
kill
my
anything.
that's
Yeah,
see, this is why I want to run the Case
yeah,
Blue Italians right
yeah.
there.
They are dangerous, very, very. They're also expensive. I mean,
Yeah, that's a very I'll pay that for Fanatic Tough Fighter 16-man squad.
yeah.
I'd take that all day.
And imagine the board control because 16 men, they'll you can
They see, I
that'll be a
feel like,
foot at least.
and this is where I think possibly new players would maybe be disappointed with their performance because you may put them on the board and they
Mm,
never do anything the entire game. That's exactly what you want them doing
yeah,
because you want everybody being like, I don't
yeah.
that projected.
Stay back. Yeah,
I've had that conversation before. The
yeah,
projected threat is
yeah,
doing
yeah,
something the whole
yeah.
game.
Which is also why I think my Gurkhas by now, last game I played with them, I didn't charge even once. Not one Gurkha charge.
And
People just stay away,
that
which
means,
works like a magic charm.
yep, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah,
Unless of course you're getting thumped.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you win and
Then
they
it's not
never
so good.
charge, that's the best case scenario.
And then double Cavalleria Savoia. That's the veteran double charger cavalry
Yep. I
because I mean that's the new golden standard. Anti-tank
yep.
rifle.
I
I think they need the anti-tank rifles because the anti-tank capabilities of Italy is not that great, but with the
yep.
case blue rules where they can re-roll failed, I mean it's just that turns it really interesting.
Yep.
Flamethrower
That's
team
Yep.
because why not? Light artillery and the Semovente, which has a heavy AT gun. This I don't understand. I must say. Um,
What's the arm? Do you know the armor on it?
I think it's 9 or 10, so it's like a it's like the Stuck for the Germans.
Yep.
And I don't think 220 points is worth it.
Yeah. Well, as somebody, well, you know how I feel about the Hellcat. So the heavy anti-tank gun probably doesn't give me as much heartburn as it gives you.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We have a Fiat as well with 4-man transport capacity. I'm guessing that is for the flamethrower, and a horse-drawn limber because 8 points, pretty cheap for an order dice. 11 order dice, and that's my main worry. My main worry
I kept
here.
thinking there might be a second platoon in this, but there's not. So that's
Yeah. I think there's a lot of good units here. I think some of them are too expensive maybe, but
yeah.
11 order dice
The
is just too low.
220 tied up in one tank is too much.
Yeah. At 13 order dice, I think this would be good. I mean, 2 order dice more. That would have been for me like where I would want to aim.
And I
And you
wonder,
could easily get that by just
this
having
strikes me as one of those lists that could possibly be a dump list that's made to look intimidating, because
yeah,
you see that and you're like, but if it's not the dump list, I'm going to have to be able to deal with,
yeah.
you know, two 16-man
16
squads
veteran
with
TIE
fanatic.
fighters.
So this is the kind of list that you put out there to make people start spinning their wheels.
Yeah. I just think it would be better having an armored car and a lighter tank choice.
I agree.
Yeah. So that was the first list. Then this is my to-do list. Not important right now. Japan here. So we have another Japanese list here. Second lieutenant regular. We have bamboo spear, 4 bamboo spears. This is insane. And then a medium mortar, a flamethrower, and 3 anti-tank
And we
suiciders.
already have more order dice than the Italian list.
Oh yeah, it's insane. Spigot mortar, because why
Yep.
not? That means you have
Yep.
the regular mortar, the spigot mortar, something is going to get hit. And then a mule team, because you can. I don't know why you would buy a veteran, but okay. And a Kurogani, because you can throw your flamethrower into that with the
I'll bet
lieutenant
he had.
come in from
I'll bet he had one extra point in the list, and that's why he took, or he had
maybe, yeah,
for the mule team.
yeah. The second platoon has another lieutenant, 3 more bamboo spear fighters, 3 more suiciders, another flamethrower team, another spigot mortar, and another mule team, and another Kurogani. 24 order dice. This is where do you even start? It's
And
a
this is one
horde.
of those. So as we all know, the trade-off for running those high order dice is the second edge of that sword is running out of time in a game. When you're running a list that is this straightforward, you're
Mm.
not making a lot of decisions. It's
No.
you pull your order dice and you run the thing up the board.
Mm.
So you can probably play this 24 order dice just as fast as a standard 13, 14 order dice.
Except you
Maybe
have to
even,
move all the models, as like physically move all the models.
yeah, I would be investing in those. This is just a general pro tip for people that want to run a list like this. So many sites now sell them. Litco here in the US is a good one. The trays that have the slots in them, so you can kind of like the old Warhammer stuff where you just can move a whole tray of guys at once.
Yeah. And I think it's the only way to run this, because otherwise you'd be physically like exhausted and you would run out of time every single game, because you have 7 units of 15 bamboo spear fighters. It's insane. Yeah.
That said, that is something to bring up with the TO before you bring those trays, though, because some people consider that
Yeah.
pre-measuring because you know
Yeah.
they're all 1
Yeah.
inch spaced. But
Yeah. Although I have actually seen I know Manuel used these trays on his hordes sometimes, even at the WTC. So I think whoever does this would be good, but it's always nice to ask in advance. I think this list lacks direct shooting. It doesn't really have any
yeah,
direct
and I think
shooting.
that's probably a calculated trade-off that they're
Mm,
making here.
yeah.
Um, but with 6 anti-tank suiciders, you have 2 spigot mortars.
Mm, yeah.
You're
And
certainly
And the
Right.
brilliant thing is you can layer your troops so that they give each other cover, so that the first unit, you can spread them out. 15 guys, you can really spread them out, and everything behind that will at least get soft cover from your dudes, right? So the first unit can go down, and then
Hmm.
everything else can run up and become the first unit next turn. So there's a lot of power in this unit.
With
Um,
what, about 60 inches of frontage that you
yeah,
can get out of two
yeah,
squads.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
this
that's
is
most of the table.
yep.
Yeah,
And again, the scenery was much better last year and much improvement, but when you have some thinner boards, that's a really significant advantage to not be overlooked.
mm, it is. Although I do think that the boards this year will be even more cluttered. So
I
whether or
think that's
not that
why
is good for this list, I don't know.
I think that's why I did so well with that Char B2 my first year at WTC. Is I
Possibly.
brought my own cover.
Yeah.
No, this is I don't know if it's going to go. I don't think this list is going to go 5 for 5, but it's
No, I
certainly
don't
going to
think.
win its
It is going
fair
to
share.
win heavily. Some games is going to win really big. But if it runs into a Gurkha list, this is going to struggle because,
Yeah, you'll
yeah,
just eat through them.
yeah. Then we have an American. No, British first. We'll take the
It's
Brits
going to put a
first here.
lot on the team captain to put that list against the right team.
Yeah, here we go. Right. Brits Vengeance as the national special rule. I actually like that because the whole army benefits from it, or most of the army anyway. Second lieutenant, again inexperienced SMG. 7-man Gurkhas, rifles, a single SMG, no, two SMGs. Royal Canadian Engineers with a flamethrower and two SMGs. Medium mortar, inexperienced. Flamethrower team, regular. The artillery observer and a land mattress again. And then the airborne recce jeep, and this is insane. Look,
It's it's too
45
good.
points for
It's
10 shots.
in the British you have a plethora of options that are just,
Yeah,
and this is one of the best ones
yeah.
in
As
my
an armored
opinion.
car choice, I don't think you can beat this points for value. It's just as a
I think
single
it's
choice, it's brilliant.
there are other armor cards you take for other jobs, but
Yeah,
just for the cost, I think it's probably one of the best armor car slots in the game.
yeah, I agree. Then we have the Steward, again, the darker version with extra LMGs, a mule team, a 15 CVT truck for the engineers, I'm guessing, although it's an 8-man capacity, a Jeep, that would be for the flamethrower team,
Uh,
maybe even a lieutenant in that to outflank. Both of them
I
are
like
regular, so
yep.
you can outflank.
Or even just even if you're advancing up the board, it still then makes it a scoring jeep that can
Yeah,
run around.
yeah.
So
Second platoon is another lieutenant, another Gurkha unit. Again, same loadout, single
yep,
SMG here. Again, a Royal Canadian Engineer section
yep,
with SMGs and flamethrower. Another
hmm
British Airborne Jeep, another Darker Steward, and another 15 CVT truck. Vengeance, 1,000 points, 18 order dice. Wow,
This
that is a hard list.
this very much reminds me of the list Joe was running at Warzone Atlanta I played against. This is
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's his list.
Yeah,
So it's
for me, this is almost. I mean, it's. I'm struggling to improve this list.
yeah,
So
I don't know what I would change in it.
he might miss at some point having Ab and Adam put it on the Gurkhas, but again, as we talked about before, there are just two Gurkha units. The rest of the army can benefit from Vengeance here. All the regulars and veterans here, which is almost everybody else,
Yep.
can really benefit from Vengeance. So yeah,
And
is
yeah,
is this a
I
5 list?
I I'm struggling to find something to change. The only thing you have some SMGs spread through there, so maybe
Mm,
if you but I don't even know what you would do with those points if you got them back. So
no,
I
no. I think this is the archetypical British list right now. It's the best you can do or the worst you can do with the Brits right now. It's just so well constructed. It has the flamethrowers. It has the Gurkhas. It has the long range shots. It has the artillery observer. It has the stewards. It's
Has the
just
trucks,
it has the trucks. It has the transport for everything. It's just very, very, very dangerous list.
and it has the order dice count.
Yeah, yeah,
I This is the best list we've seen so far.
by far. It's really good. It's a 5. Whoever made this, you're a nasty person, but I salute
That's
you,
what
sir, for this list.
WTC. You're gonna make the trip. You might as well
Yeah.
bring the
Might as well
boys.
try to win. Might as well try to win. I do hope I do not face this list, because wow. Then we have an American list. Right. So inexperienced lieutenant, SMG, double engineers, 5-man rifles and a flamethrower. Cut down version here. 7-man
Mhm.
Marine squad, 3 BARs. Just like the way you run them. Have you been consulting for this list?
No. Uh, I as good as the Marines are, and it's BARs are the best infantry, basic infantry upgrade in the game.
Mm,
Um, I I can't I when I'm trying to be efficient, they're still just regulars,
yeah,
and one BR puts out as many pins as 3 BARs.
yeah, true, true. So
Um,
you would spread them out more.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think I would be more apt to try to. We'll see what's in the rest of the
all right.
list.
Then there's a sniper and a Darker Steward and a dodge for the engineers. One of the engineers with a pintle mounted MMG and
Yep.
it's regular. Um, the second platoon here has another lieutenant, double Marine squads with triple bars in both of them. Heavy mortar team, inexperienced bazooka team, rocket launcher, another Darker Steward, and a jeep and a mule team.
Yeah, I don't like that the one engineer squad doesn't have a transport.
Yeah, that's my one worry as well. It's 16 order dice, but I really would want that.
What's going in
That
the Jeep? Do you have a flamethrower team?
Yeah, he's got the bazooka team, but that can
Bazooka,
go on
yeah.
foot.
Okay.
That could go on
Yep.
foot, couldn't it? So he could spend the points trying to get a dodge. Do you think the dodges need to be regular?
Yes. How I play them, I get a lot of use out of their machine gun
Mm,
because I usually dump the guys out, and then what what's great with the engineers is you roll up, you put that machine gun into whatever you're going to shoot at, and
mm,
especially if that unit's already activated, I will sometimes run in. If I'm running the 5-man engineer squads,
yeah.
I'll put my lieutenant with an SMG in there.
Mm,
I know I've advocated for the rifle when on the inexperienced, but I do often run the SMG. You can dump the machine gun into him, and then you can get the
yeah.
lieutenant out and shoot into him. And now you've already got 2 pins when you hit it with that flamethrower,
Ouch. Yeah.
which is not a bad thing.
No, that's really good.
Yeah,
Um,
so go back to the Marine squads now.
yeah.
The problem I have with them is they put out a lot of shots,
Mm,
but shots don't pull units off the table.
true.
And where and being it with the US guys being able to move and shoot,
Mm,
it's great to have the BARs in there for those long range shots, but one can still get out there and put a pin on something if that's what you're wanting to do.
mm,
Well, by taking those veteran infantry like with the tough fighter that I run, you can delete whole units with those in
true.
close combat. But I, I
And
get I get the Marine squads though; they're super efficient point wise. They
they
get a
are.
lot of long range shots out.
Yeah.
They're not wrong. That's just a personal preference.
I think one thing you could do is you could cut down on the BARs. That would give you the extra points to upgrade your Jeep down here to a Dodge truck,
Yep,
which I think would be more worth it because you have that engineer. I don't think the bazooka needs a Jeep. It doesn't
right.
need that transport for me. It
And
can go on foot because it's got the 24-inch range, right?
even the rifles, you get the 6-inch move and shoot with no
Mm.
penalty on Marines, so
Yeah,
you're reaching out 30 inches in a turn.
yeah. Yep.
I don't think you need all 3 of those BARs in all those
Mm.
squads.
Don't get me
And
wrong; it's a good list, but it could be improved.
the second dodge would really help.
Yeah, it would. It really would. That would take care of a lot of the problems. Now, finally, we have a Soviet list. Yeah.
And the reminder on that second dodge too is you're still picking 5 medium machine gun shots. So if you're
Mm.
dropping several
Yeah.
BARs, you're still getting your shots back there.
Yeah. Right.
Uh-huh.
Soviets. We have a junior lieutenant, 2 men inexperienced SMGs, a commissar, 2 men inexperienced SMGs. Then SMG squads, I mind blown. 5-man units with SMGs. 2 of these, 3 rifle squads of 5 men inexperienced rifles. The free squad of 12, and then a sniper team, 3 dog teams, inexperienced, 2 men. Some of them's got SMGs on them. A heavy mortar team, a heavy howitzer, inexperienced. So again, just shooting indirectly with a heavy howitzer. It's very, very expensive. There's a lot to unpack here. A BA-10 with a light AT gun, inexperienced, coaxial LMG, hull LMG. A Stuart inexperienced, darker version, and then Bren carriers. Bunches of inexperienced Bren carriers. Everything inexperienced, 21 order dice. What is this?
And
What is
this
this
is
abomination?
it's unique, that's for sure.
That is unique.
This is the Soviet take on the bamboo spear fighter list.
Maybe. I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know.
No, everything is shooting at -1. I mean, except the sniper, everything is at -1 to start with. You're going to be missing so many shots.
This makes me think the Italian list is going.
Potentially. I mean,
I
one of these are going. Either the Italians or this one. I wouldn't want to bring this. Uh,
this so this list, you're not.
it does have a
It
lot of
doesn't
armor.
have the for having 21 order dice. It just doesn't have the capacity to pull units off the table.
No.
Nothing
It,
in
it
this list can by itself delete a unit,
no.
and you are just going to get because there's no. I assume the WTC packet doesn't have anything with armored carriers preventing pins. No, that Marine BAR list would do great against this.
Oh yeah. It would just sit back, deliver pins, watch them flail around being inexperienced and fail all their order tests. I mean, what is it going to do? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
this
You
is
can't push up. You're going to sit back at long range because you have you have a lot of long range like LMGs everywhere, right? So it's going to sit back at long range and try to shoot, but you're going to be at long range. You're going to be inexperienced. That's on 5s already there. If the enemy has light cover, then it's 6s. If you've moved, then it's 7. I mean, you're going to
yeah,
be at 6s on 6s so easily.
and the units are so small that
Yeah.
you can't wait a fire
No.
on any individual. And God forbid you have to go up against a land mattress with this list.
Oh, I would want to play against this list. I would really want to play against this list. I would
This is
cut this to ribbons.
I don't want to be harsh, but this might be the worst list we've seen today.
It's just so weird. It's just, I mean, it has a
Well,
very clear
with the
idea.
caveat that if it goes well, it's going to go real well. But I think you have I don't know.
I mean, it has a really clear idea, right?
Yeah,
It's a faux tank list with a lot of small units, um, and so it does have 7 armored vehicles,
yeah. But the
but I
problem
don't
is you
think they're
start
very good.
yeah, and like if yeah, I think you're going to get the pinned. You're going to get pinned hard if they can pull out your even if they can put some pins on your tanks, like you don't even have to kill them. It's
Hmm.
going to be, and then of course it's going to take a while to play with that many order dice.
It is. Yeah.
Um, the weird, I will, bolt action is a weird game. When you see something like this and you've never played against it on the table, you can have a pretty good idea, and it may, depending on who's running it and what they're doing with it, it may have very different, like they may just have, we look at it with an expectation of how they're going to play it. They may have a very different idea of what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, if they start putting half those brain carriers into outflank and are keeping them behind cover and just never even trying to shoot with them, they're just mobile, armored, little pillboxes are going around sitting on objectives.
Yeah. Which maybe we should have started with this, because this is list analysis, right? When and it's just list analysis. We don't know how this player is going to try to do this. We don't know the thought process behind it. We can try and guess, but they may pull something out that we haven't foreseen here. Yeah.
And that's how metas change.
That's how metas change. It is. Right. So
I don't want to drop the hammer on it too hard, because there might be some sickle in there that we don't know about.
Well, there definitely is a plan. Right, yeah. Ryan, between the Spanish 3 teams here and the American 3 teams, who do you think would win if these 2 teams went head to head?
I think the Americans would walk away with it.
I think so too.
I think the British list is a guaranteed win against anything in the Spanish list.
It would walk over most of these Spanish lists.
If the American list, if the American list on the U.S. team and the Spanish American list go together, that American list is the U.S. team's going to win. It's a better U.S. list. The Japanese, the even the Italian. Well, like if you think if the captain, and again, a lot of it has to do with the captain and what the pairings end up list. But like that Italian list, even though it's got 11 order dice, the German list and the Spanish team only had 13. So if you can get, I think that Italian list would walk the. I think it would do better than the German list, maybe.
It could definitely beat that German list,
depending on how you do the matchups. But I would, if I was Vegas here, I'd put the odds on I think the U.S. team on that, and I admit my own bias as an American. So
well, I'm with you on that. I also think that the U.S. team here would win. They do have some of the stronger lists, although I still struggle to figure out which one is the dud here. Right.
I would need a strong plan from who's bringing that Soviet list.
Yeah, for me as well. Ryan, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry to miss you this year at the WTC, but well, disposable income championships. They are what they are. Such is life.
I've got other hobbies I need to go see too. So
yeah, you need to go and assemble that Italian army now.
I got the box right over here, I think. So we'll see. See how that. We'll see how the black shirts do.
That was it from us today. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you in another video. Cheers.
Thanks for having me, Bo.